day, everyone. Today, we are excited to talk to you about earthquakes. Earthquakes are powerful natural events that can cause a lot of damage and change the landscape in the instant. In this video, we will explain what causes earthquakes, the dangers they bring, how they affect people and communities, and how we can prepare for them. Let's start by understanding what causes an earthquake. First is the Earth's structure. The Earth is made up of several layers: the inner core, outer core, mantle, and crust. The crust is the outermost layer where we live. It is not a solid piece. Instead, it is broken into large pieces called tectonic plates. These plates float on the semi-fluid mantle beneath them. Next is tectonic plates movement. Tectonic plates are constantly moving, but they move very slowly, only a few centimeters each year. Sometimes, these plates bump into each other, pull apart, or slide past one another. When they interact, stress builds up along faults, which are cracks in the Earth's crust. Next is energy release. When the stress becomes too much, the rock breaks or slips, releasing energy in the form of seismic waves. This sudden release of energy is what we feel as an earthquake.
Focus and epicenter. The focus, or hypocenter, is a point deep inside the Earth where the earthquake starts. The epicenter is the point on the Earth's surface directly above the focus. This is usually where the shaking is felt the strongest. Types of earthquakes. There are different types of earthquakes based on how they occur. Tectonic earthquakes. These are the most common and occur due to the movement of tectonic plates. They can happen at plate boundaries where plates collide, pull apart, or slide against each other. Volcanic earthquakes. These occur in volcanic regions and are caused by the movement of magma beneath the Earth's surface. As magma rises, it can create pressure that leads to an earthquake. Collapse earthquakes. These are smaller earthquakes that occur when underground caves collapse. They are usually not strong enough to cause significant damage.
Now that we understand what causes earthquakes, let's talk about the danger they can bring. Earthquakes can lead to several hazards like ground shaking. When an earthquake occurs, the ground shakes. This shaking can be very strong and can cause buildings to fall down, roads to crack, and people to get hurt. The severity of the shakings depends on the earthquake's magnitude and the distance from the epicenter. Next is surface faulting. Sometimes the ground can break open along fault line, which is a crack in the Earth's surface. This damages buildings and roads that are right on top of the fault. For example, the San Andreas Fault in California is a well-known fault line where surface faulting can occur.
One of the several hazards is ground failure, like landslides. When the ground shakes, it can cause landslides, where rocks and dirt slide down a hill. This can bury homes and block roads. Landslides can happen quickly and without warning, making them very dangerous. Liquefaction. This is a strange process where wet soil loses its strength during shaking and acts like a liquid. This can make buildings tilt or sink into the ground. For instance, during the 1964 Alaska earthquake, liquefaction caused many buildings to collapse. Tsunamis. Tsunamis are huge waves that can be caused by underwater earthquakes. When these waves reach the shore, they can flood coastal areas, destroy homes, and put lives at risk. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, triggered by a massive earthquake, is one of the deadliest tsunamis in history, causing widespread devastation.
Natural signs of an impending tsunami. Tsunamis are powerful and destructive ocean waves, typically caused by underwater earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or landslides. Recognizing the natural signs of an impending tsunami is crucial for saving lives. So, there are three main warning signs to be aware of. First, earthquake. A strong earthquake, especially one that lasts a long time and causes a significant ground shaking, is a major warning sign. The shaking itself can trigger a tsunami. It's important to note, however, that you may not feel an earthquake if the tsunami source is far away. Even a distant earthquake can still generate a tsunami that reaches your location. Number 2. Ocean water receding or drawback. One of the most noticeable signs is a rapid and significant retreat of ocean water from the shoreline. This drawback exposes areas of the ocean floor, reefs, and even fish that are normally underwater. The water may recede from beaches, bays, and even rivers. This is not a normal low tide. The water pulls back dramatically and unexpectedly. Drawback can be extensive, sometimes exceeding hundreds of meters, revealing areas that are usually hidden beneath the waves. Number 3. Unusual roaring sound. As a tsunami approaches, it can create a loud and unusual roaring sound. This sound is often described as similar to a train, jet, aircraft, or other powerful rushing noise. The sound is caused by the immense force of the approaching wall of water and the turbulent ocean activity it generates.
So here are the important considerations. While these three signs are strong indicators of potential tsunami, it's crucial to remember that not all tsunamis show all three. A tsunami can occur without a noticeable earthquake, particularly if the source is far away. Also, the drawback might be subtle in some areas. What to do if you observe any of these signs? Evacuate immediately to higher ground. Do not wait for official warnings. Follow evacuation routes and instructions from authorities. Move inland or to higher elevations as quickly as possible. And by understanding these natural warning signs and taking swift action, we can significantly improve our chances of survival during a tsunami event.
Effects of different earthquake hazards. Earthquakes are powerful natural events that can cause a range of devastating hazard. The effects extend beyond the initial shaking and can have long-lasting consequences. Here's a breakdown of the major earthquake hazards and their impacts. Number 1 is the ground shaking. This is the most immediate and widely felt effect of the earthquake. The violent shaking can cause significant damage to buildings and infrastructure, leading to collapses, structural damage, and widespread destruction. Ground shaking also poses a direct threat to human life, causing injuries and fatalities. The intensity of the shaking and the caused damage depends on factors like the earthquake's magnitude, distance from the epicenter, and the local geology. Number 2 is the surface faulting. Surface faulting occurs when the ground ruptures along a fault line during an earthquake. This can directly disrupt structures located on or near the fault, causing significant damage to buildings and foundations. Roads and other infrastructure crossing fault lines can also be severely damaged or completely destroyed by surface faulting. The displacement of the land can be dramatic, creating significant obstacles and challenges for recovery efforts.
Number 3. Ground failure. Ground failure encompasses several phenomena that can amplify the destructive power of earthquakes. Landslides. Earthquakes can trigger landslides, particularly in hilly or mountainous regions. These landslides can bury entire communities, block roads and transportation routes, and cause widespread damage to property. The debris flows from landslide can also be extremely destructive, carrying away buildings and other structures. Liquefaction. This occurs when water-saturated soil loses its strength and behaves like liquid during an earthquake. This weakens the ground, causing buildings to tilt, sink, or collapse. Liquefaction can also cause underground pipelines and utility lines to break, leading to further damage and disruption. Number 4. Tsunamis. While not directly caused by the ground shaking itself, earthquakes, particularly those occurring underwater, can generate tsunamis. These are massive ocean waves that can travel at incredible speeds and cause catastrophic flooding in coastal areas. Tsunamis can inundate coastal communities, destroying homes, businesses, and infrastructure. The immense force of the water can cause significant loss of life and leave behind widespread devastation.
Different earthquake hazard maps. Earthquake hazard maps are essential tools for understanding and mitigating the risks associated with earthquakes and related hazards. These maps visually represent the likelihood of different earthquake hazards occurring in specific locations, guiding urban planning, infrastructure development, and emergency preparedness. So, next is purpose of earthquake hazard maps. The primary purpose of these maps is to identify areas that are particularly vulnerable to earthquakes, tsunamis, and ground failures like liquefaction. This information is crucial for first is land use planning. Land use planning is to determine where it is safe to build homes, schools, hospitals, and other critical infrastructure. High hazard zones might be designated for open space or parks, reducing potential loss of life and property damage. Infrastructure design. Engineering buildings and other structures to withstand the anticipated ground shaking and other hazards in the given area. Building codes and construction practices can be adapted based on the hazard level. Emergency response planning. Identifying evacuation routes, establishing emergency shelters, and preparing for search and rescue operations. Knowing which areas are most at risk allows for more effective emergency response planning.
The next is insurance and risk assessment, helping insurance companies assess risks and set premiums accordingly. Individuals and businesses can also use the maps to understand their own risks and take appropriate precautions. So then, the next part is public awareness. Public awareness is educating the public about the earthquake hazards and their area and encouraging them to prepare for potential events. And then the next part of our topic is all about colors, symbols used in earthquake hazards maps. So earthquake hazard maps is typically use a combination of colors and symbols to represent different hazards, levels, and geological features. And the common elements is include, which is colors. Different colors represent varying levels of hazards intensity, often ranging from green or low hazard to red or high hazard. These colors might represent the expected level of ground shaking, tsunami inundation, or liquefaction potential, And then the symbols. So the symbols is might indicate in fault lines, areas prone to landslide, or other geological features that influence earthquake hazards. And these symbols help to visualize the underlying geological factors that contribute to the rest.
Tsunami preparedness and response. Tsunami are devastating natural disasters requiring careful preparation and swift action. This report outlines crucial steps for before, during, and after a tsunami event. Before a tsunami, know your risk. If you live in or visit a coastal area, understand the tsunami risk. Many coastal communities provide maps showing evacuation zones and routes. Second is recognize the signs. Learn the warning signs of an impending tsunami. Strong earthquake, rapid ocean water receding or drawback, and an unusual roaring sound.
Plan your escape. Develop a family emergency plan, including evacuation routes from your home, work, and other frequent locations. Practice these routes. Your community likely has official evacuation plans. Familiarize yourself with them.
During a tsunami, earthquake response. If you are in a tsunami-prone area and feel an earthquake, immediately perform duck, cover, and hold. For distant tsunamis, you'll have more time to evacuate. For local tsunamis, you may have only minutes. Evacuation. If you receive an official warning or observe natural warning signs, evacuate immediately to high ground far inland. Stay put if you're outside the hazard zone unless officials instruct otherwise. School and home. If a warning is issued while at school, follow school personnel's instructions. If at home, ensure your family is aware and evacuate calmly to a designated safe location or higher ground outside the hazard zone. Always follow official instructions from emergency services. Building safety. High-rise reinforced concrete buildings might offer temporary refuge, but low-lying structures are unsafe during a tsunami. Avoid low-lying coastal areas completely. While offshore reefs might lessen wave impact, they don't eliminate the danger. Boat at sea. If you are at sea or in a harbor, do not return to port. Tsunamis create unpredictable currents and water level changes.
Earthquakes are a force of nature we can control, but we can control how prepared we are by understanding the science behind them and taking proactive steps to protect ourselves and our communities. We can minimize the risk and build a more resilient future. Remember to check your local emergency plans, secure your home, and practice earthquake drills. Knowledge is power, and together we can face this powerful event with confidence and preparedness. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe.